You better watch who you talking about, running your mouth like you know me. You gon' fuck around and show how to show me, get called to show me. Why one-on-one you can't hold me? If your last name was Hayes, only way you word me out is stitch my name on your pants. No resident of France, but you swear I'm from Paris, 106 carats. Total no, that's courage, trying to confirm this. My chain to your chain, sprint a Motorola, no service out of your range, you're out of your brain, thinking I'ma shout out your name. You gotta come up with better ways and actions to get your aim. All that pressure you apply, it's time to ease off. Before I hit you from the box, I'm taking your sleeves off. As much as we's lost, it's hard to please boss. Don't be lying, Brian, suck it up as a loss, cause your act is right, your whole label is right. Matter of fact, I hold that. I am number one. No matter if you like it, take it, sit down and write it. I am number one. Now let me ask you, man, what does it take to be number one? Two is not a willing, three nobody remembers. What does it take to be number one?
Welcome, everyone, to the TCAA preseason rankings release show. I am your commish as always. Apparently, don't mind the clothes on the table there. It's what it is. Right? That's what happens when you do these things live. So, hopefully, tonight's show does not go long like last week's show, but, sometimes it's just the way this thing works. But we're going to announce our preseason top 10. We're going to also give you a couple of predictions from our presidents that took the time to do these rankings, and they also gave me who they felt were going to be the winners for the conferences, and then who they felt was going to be the Final Four, and then obviously being winner for the 2022 season. So we're going to get right into it. Right. So first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss predictions. I don't want to get too far into the rankings yet. I want to go ahead and give you predictions here from our presidents who did this. So if you take me out of the equation, because I did the rankings as well, we had 6 presidents offer their time to give what they thought were not only just the rankings, but several questions I had asked of who they felt was going to win each conference, who they felt was going to be the Final Four, and then who they thought would be the winner ultimately. There was some homerism in a couple of the conferences, but that kind of is what happens when you do this game. But it is fine because when I did the rankings, I took care of homerism out of that aspect. So I do want to say thank you to the following presidents. I don't know everybody's name on here, so just yet. So it's just easier if I do it this way. But the presidents of Sucks TBU University, president of Evil Empire University, president of FOC U2, president of the Winchester University, president of Brock State University, and then president of the Cavalry Centurions, whatever the hell you pronounce it, Centurions, Centaurs. We'll call you Centaurs. I want to say thank you to the U6 for participating in our preseason rankings, and then also give me your predictions as well of how you felt the league was going to go. So I'll go first with my predictions. Heck, you know what? We'll save mine last because why not? It's fun. I've done it, from the beginning. So let's see how everybody else felt. So president of Sucks TBU, these are who he predicts will be the conference champions. For the ACC, Louisiana University Knights. From the Big Six, DBAPU. From the Big East, Queensland Hokies. From the Mountain Six, University of Kentucky Bourbon Ballers. In the Pac-6, Samurai Jackson University, and out of the SEC, SCLSU Mud Dogs. His prediction for the Final Four, these will be the 4 playing in the playoffs in hopes to get into the national title game. He has Louisiana, Kentucky, SCLSU, and Queensland. And his prediction of the winner for the league of the 2022 season will be the Louisiana University Knights. So there is your first prediction. The next prediction comes from the president of the Winchester University. He has his conference champs as ACC Brock State University, Big Six Telford Tornadoes, the Big East University of Thugonomics. I'm assuming that's, try to get in with the commish. I accept it. From the Mountain 6, Grimes State University. Out of the Pac 6, Ocean State College, the Destroyers there. And out of the SEC, second vote in this one, SC LSU Mud Dogs. In their Final Four, they have it as the Telford Tornadoes, SC LSU Mud Dogs, Brock State University, and Grimes State University. And then their prediction for the winner of the 2022 season is the Telford Tornadoes. So that would be Telford making it back into the national championship game, but this time winning it for this season. All right, so president of Evil Empire, his conference champs, Evil Empire University of the ACC, Telford Tornadoes out of the Big Six, Bushy Central out of the Big East, Calvary out of the Mountain Six, Greenville Green Devils out of the Pac 6, and then Vestal Tech Community College, Rabid Wenches out of the SEC. His Final Four, he's got it as Greenville, Evil, Calvary, and Vestal. And then his prediction of the winner of this year, Homerism at its finest, himself, Evil Empire. For the next president of FAQ2 University, his conference champs are Florida State Fighting Raccoons, Purdue Plague, University of Thugonomics. I appreciate the nod again. Out of the Big East. For the Mountain 6, the Upper Sandusky Raw Dogs. Out of the Pac 6, Missouri Manscapers. Out of the SEC, Presbyterian Blue Hose. Their Final Four, they have themselves in the Final Four. Their prediction is Upper Sandusky, Louisiana, Purdue, and Florida State. So in their prediction, they've got two ACC schools making it in there, where Louisiana makes it in without winning their conference championship. So I would assume he has them maybe losing their conference title game, but has a good record and falls into it, which we've had plenty of seasons where someone is either the loser of the conference championship or doesn't even play in the conference championship game, but just had such an outstanding season and they just happen to miss out. Still make it into the Final Four based off of their resume. So you never know how that sometimes will work there. But I heard some popping in, popping out. So I don't know if it's all right. So I see Springfield U is sitting and listening in. So listen in, Springfield U. If you got any any questions you want to answer, ask anything, go right ahead. But if you're gonna listen in, I accept it. Listen in all day. I like it. I like especially live listeners. All right, let me get back to. All right, the next and final of the presidents, besides me giving mine, is president of Brock State University. Their conference champ predictions. You have out of the ACC, Brock State University. Out of the Big Six, DBAP-U. So that's another nod to DBAP this in the predictions. University of Thugonomics out of the Big East. So that's the third one choosing the Commish Thugonomics. I'll tell you, after winning the first season ever of the league and, limping in on some of the other ones, I always appreciate the nod, thinking that my school is going to be fine. We always seem to disappoint, sadly. Out of the Mountain 6, Grimes State. So that's another nod to Grimes State in this one. In the Pac 6, you got Samurai Jackson University, which I think is that's a second nod to them. And then out of the SEC, a second nod to Presbyterian Blue Hose. In the Final Four, they've got Samurai Jackson University, Presbyterian Blue Hose, DBAP, and Delta Phi Gamma. So that would be two schools coming out of the Pac 6. And then they have themselves, they have as the winner for the 2022 season, a repeat back-to-backer, Samurai Jackson University. So there is your predictions coming from some of your presidents in the league. Here's what I have as predicted. So for myself, here's what we have. For the conference champions, here's my predictions. For the ACC, you have Brock State University. Out of the Big Six, you have DBAP University. So that's another one towards DBAP. So a lot of us are feeling strong about them. Out of the Big Six, I feel like it's going to be FAQ University. Mountain 6, you got Kentucky Bourbon Ballers. Pac 6, Missouri. And the SEC, Allen Wrench. My Final Four prediction is Allen Wrench, Missouri, Kentucky, and Brock State. and I feel the overall winner is going to be Kentucky Bourbon Ballers. A couple of things that I also like to do. I like to throw out a couple of other predictions. So I picked a couple of sleepers. Actually, I picked sleepers in every conference except for one. Um, the only conference I didn't pick a sleeper in is the Mountain Six, and here's why. I feel like the top two teams are going to be how it was last season, Kentucky and Grimes State. And that's not saying anything bad about the other schools, just that you're taking over schools that didn't do a really good job of participation last year. So the rosters aren't as great as they probably could have been with a full season of recruiting. So I feel like that conference is still at least a year away from having some more competition. I could be wrong. Things happen. Just my prediction. I think it's going to be Kentucky and Grimes State battling it in the Mountain Six again for this season, and then hopefully with some good recruiting and some continuation in that conference of presidents, that next season we'll be able to see a little bit more of a parity out of the Mountain Six. So I picked no sleepers out of that conference. Like I said, I still feel like it's at least a year away of a continuation of presidents, as Kentucky and Grimes State are the only two presidents that carried on from the inaugural season last year. So my sleeper out of the ACC, who I feel like has potential to maybe do some upsetting alerts going on in the ACC, maybe find themselves into the conference title game, maybe surprise everybody, which is a school that someone actually picked to actually win the conference championship. And I have, as a sleeper, Florida State Fighting Raccoons out of the ACC. From the Big Six, I have a sleeper. No one mentioned this school in their predictions, so I like this as an option as a sleeper. But the sleeper I have for Big Six is Jefferson Southwest Community College. Out of the Big East, a school that was mentioned in one of these conference champs that they are, in one of these, a sleeper that I have in there out of the Big East is going to be Bushy Central. From the Pac-6, I have a sleeper in Greenville. A couple of schools actually have them, or at least one school has them chosen to make it into the Final Four. But I feel Greenville is a sleeper in the Pac-6, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp this right now, and I want him to hear it. I see a down season for Samurai Jackson University. The Pac-6 looks really strong. And Samurai lost a very key quarterback from last year in Patrick Mahomes. Who knows what season Patrick Mahomes would have this year without Tyreek Hill anyway. But there's something about it that I feel like Samurai's just going to have a down season. I think that was the prediction for him a lot last year. He was never really number one throughout the season. Maybe he didn't get it all because Allen Wrench, like I think I said this last week, Allen Wrench ran through the rankings as number one pretty much all of it except for maybe week one, going undefeated majority of the season. I just see a down season for Samurai Jackson University, my opinion. But I know he also likes to have a chip on his shoulder, so here's a little bulletin board material for you. So there's my thoughts on the Pac-6. In the SEC, a sleeper I have chosen in that one, and this was a school that many had picked to be conference champion. I see Presbyterian, Blue Hose, possibly being a sleeper in that one. I don't have them as the strongest school in the SEC, but I do see potential in their roster, and then obviously with walk-ons and stuff like that. But that's a sleeper that I see at a Presbyterian making themselves known in that conference. So there's my predictions, sleepers, who I think is going to win it all and stuff like that. So let's get to the good stuff, right? What are we all waiting for? Who's going to be ranked in our top 10 preseason? So once again, I want to thank all those same presidents for participating in this. So we had a total of 7 total coaches when you include myself, or presidents when you include myself in this ranking. What I asked them all to do was rank schools 1 through 12. Who they felt were the top 12 going into the preseason. We only do a top 10, but I figured at least 12 would give a little bit of parity on a couple of the schools that maybe wouldn't have been in the top 10, but some others would have. And then I pretty much ranked any time that school wasn't chosen in one of the other presidents' top 12. I gave it, that everyone the same random number, so that way it would infiltrate the rankings and kind of equal everybody out. So we had only one school received the number one vote twice out of the 7 of us that did this voting, and that school was Samurai Jackson University. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. They are not the preseason number one, even though they got 2 number one votes. There's your spoiler. Other schools to receive a number one ranking vote overall. SCLSU Mud Dogs received the number one vote. Allen Wrench received a number one vote. Louisiana received the number one vote. Evil Empire received a number one vote. And Upper Sandusky received the number one vote. Now, 3 of those schools did not make the top 10 in this one. We had one school, let me see here. Looks like a total of 2 schools out of the 7 of us were mentioned 5 times. I mean, no, I take that back. They were mentioned 5. Yeah, so 2 schools were mentioned 5 times in the rankings of the top 12. So here is your top 10 schools for the preseason going in, right? So let me change my banner here. So number 6, we're going to start like this, give you 6 through 10. And if you look at watching live, or when you play back and you watch it live, you can see it right on my screen there. Number 6 is the defending champions, the Samurai Jackson University. They received 2 number one votes and then only 1 other top 12 vote. In fact, really only 1 other top 10 vote, to be honest. They only received 3 votes total in the top 12 out of the 7 of us that ranked it. The number ones obviously helped them in that manner, being in there, but there was, like I said, only 3 ranked it. 4 did not rank Samurai Jackson in our top 10. So Samurai Jackson University, there's your chip on your shoulder again, sitting at number 6, the defending champions. Number 7, they received 4 total top 10 votes, 5 overall in our top 12, is Grimes State University at number 7. Number 8, last year's runner-up, Telford Tornadoes. They received 4 top 10 votes and a total of 5 in the top 12 voting. Number 9, Missouri Manscapers. They received 3 top 10 votes, and then they received a total of 5 total votes in the top 12. And then rounding that out, number 10, Vessel Tech Community College. They received 3 top 10 votes. Sorry. So there is your 6 through 10 rankings for the preseason. And that is that. Let me see here. Alrighty. Now, let's go ahead and actually, let me make a correction here. There is something wrong with my rankings of the top there that I'm seeing now. Let me readjust something real quick. I do apologize for this fun right away. I don't know why I did that. Here you are getting it nice and live of how this goes. Let me redo that. All right, so little readjustment in the top 5, in that 6 through 10. Let me fix it. So number 6 is still Samurai Jackson University. That didn't change. Number 7 is actually Telford Tornadoes. So I do apologize for the ranking issue that just occurred there when I did my ranking. So number 7 is Telford Tornadoes. Number 8 is Missouri Manscapers. Number 9 is Grimes State University. And number 10 is Vessel Tech. So a little switcheroo there. I will need to make an edit on my banner here real quick. You'll get to see, like I said, all this nice and live, right? That's what we do here. So let me fix my banner so that way there is no discrepancy here. Little fix. And then you get third up to 7. And you get Missouri 8 and Grime at 9. Alrighty, and banner is fixed. All right, should show Sam at 6, Telford at 7, Missouri is now 8, Grime State is 9, and Vestal Tech is 10. I'm not sure why my rankings screwed around like that out of nowhere on me, but luckily it didn't change. Anybody who's in that 6 through 10 there, or knock somebody out of that 10 spot or 9 spot or whatever it was and introduce somebody else, so that would be one hell of a blunder. All righty, so let's discuss who is the top 10 or in the top 5, 1 through 5. So let's change the banner. And the number 1 school going into the preseason, they didn't even earn a number 1 vote overall, but they did receive 5 of the top 10 votes. In fact, they received 5 top 5 votes, and that is the University of Kentucky Bourbon Ballers. So they are going to go into the preseason ranked number 1. Number 2, they received 5 top 10 votes, and that's going to be Brock State University. Number 3, receiving a number 1 vote and then 3 other top 10 votes, so a total of 4 top 10 votes, is at SCLSU Mud Dogs. In number 4, they received the top 10 vote, or a number 1 vote overall, and 3 additional top 10 votes, and that is Allen Wrench Trade School. And number 5, rounding it out, they received 4 top 10 votes, and that would be DBAP University. They also then received at least a top 12 vote as well, so 5 total votes also with in the top 12. So there is your 1 through 10 preseason ranked schools. Let's sound it off again. Number 1, University of Kentucky Bourbon Ballers. Number 2, Brock State University. Number 3, SCLSU Mud Dogs. Number 4, Allen Wrench Trade School. Number 5, DBAP University. Number 6, the defending champion, Samurai Jackson University. Number 7, the runner-up of last year, Telford Tornadoes. Number 8, Missouri Manscapers. Number 9, Grime State University. And number 10, Vestal Tech Community College. Now, right off the bat, can't remember any of the other matchups, but we do know that next week, week 1, where we have the rematch of last year's national championship game of Samurai Jackson University and Telford Tornadoes. We do know that's a ranked versus ranked matchup, number 6 versus number 7. There's possibility some of these other schools might be facing each other as well ranked. I don't know that yet for a fact. I haven't put it into the league yet, but I'm going to do that here in just a minute, or I'll get to it within the next couple of days. Might do it real quick before I get off the computer here. So to see who else we have ranked, next week's show will be done on Wednesday night. I will preview week 1 as season starts that next Thursday already. So we'll do a recap. Usually what I do on previews and stuff like that is I preview who the ranked matchups are. If you're not in a ranked matchup, you don't get previewed. Sorry. Don't have that much time to do, every matchup, unless I see something really crazy, like as we get in the middle of the season, it's like an 0-6 versus 0-6 or something like that. Then I'll maybe, put a mention out there to you. So next week we're going to do a preview of all the matchups. Hopefully the lineups are set to where I can get an idea, we can get an idea of, who's favored, who's not. I love the little gambling aspect of it. Maybe have some fun with that as well. So, hope everyone enjoyed today's show. Hope everyone enjoyed hearing who is the top 10 schools as we get into the preseason. Once again, I want to say thank you to the presidents of Sucks to Be You University, of Evil Empire University, Fuck U2 University, Winchester University or College, Brock State University, and Cavalry Centrons, whatever the hell you are. Thank you all for participating and doing the rankings for us to give us an idea. And as you can tell based off the rankings, and that's why I gave everybody full disclosure of how many times they're ranked in the top 12 and stuff like that. It wasn't something crazy where how the hell did this school get in there? Like I said, there were 3 schools who got a number 1 vote that didn't even make it into the top 10. One school, they got a number one vote, and that's all they got, nothing else in the top 12. So it is what it is on that. So with that being said, I'm going to close this out. Remember, recruiting ends tomorrow night, end of day, 11:59. If you don't have recruiting in, sorry about your luck. If you have any circumstances to where you can't get it in by tomorrow night, please let me know. I've already had one president reach out to me, and we kind of discussed the situation for them to make sure they get a chance to get it in there. They have an issue going on, so I am a reasonable man. I'm not a jerk, but if you have anything that is really going to keep you from getting the recruiting in, let me know. The odds, I won't be able to get the recruiting updated until the weekend anyway. But the deadline is set for tomorrow night, unless you've got something drastic. And please bring it to my attention. If you don't mention it to me, there's nothing I can do for you. You're going to miss out. You're going to be behind the 8 ball right off the bat because there's 1,000 points going into this. And you're going to miss out on some really good recruits if you don't get this recruit again. I'm going to be blatantly honest with you. You missed this first one where there's 1,000 points. You put yourself in such a behind the 8 ball moment, especially with some of these schools that will have recruiting violations and penalties added to their scores, or taken away from their scores. Could be pretty beneficial if you don't miss this. If you miss out on this, so get your recruiting in. And then I'll get those updated as soon as I can. Most likely will be posted on the weekend. And then we will start the walk-ons. And I will fully explain how that operation works. And we'll start that on Tuesday. And the next Wednesday, we'll do a preview of week 1. So thank you for everybody who's currently listening to it live. Thank you for anybody who listens to it after the fact. If you have any questions on anything that is going on in the league, let me know. I answer pretty much everything that is going on that I see. So anything in Slack and stuff like that, you hit me up in a DM. I'll answer it as well. So that's all I got for you guys. So that is going to be the end of today's show. And we all now know who is number 1.